Swinging a high drive into center field. It's at the wall. It is gone! Costas does it again. It's gone! It's into the bullpen! This game is tied!
He swings and rips one to center field. It's high, it's deep, it's back, it's gone! Sale winds, he fires. Swing and a miss, strike three, it's over! The Red Sox have won the World Championship!
What's up? Welcome back to Play Tessie. It's a bonus pod for you guys. This is the official Red Sox podcast of WEI. Before we get going, remember, hit that subscribe button wherever you're getting your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, the Odyssey app. Subscribe, rate 5 stars, leave a comment. Find us on the WEI YouTube page as well. You can find the Play Tessie playlist there. Find all of our videos or all of our episodes in video form. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to WEI. Leave a comment. Find us on the socials at Play Tessie on both Twitter and Instagram as well. Usually our bonus episodes are Friday. Our Friday bonus pods are Who Says No's. We've been doing Who Says No's all off season. But with the recent, they got 2 starters. They got Bregman. They beefed up the bullpen, even if it's a couple of minor league additions. Like, it feels like the roster that we have right now might be the roster that you get. So, I don't know. My thought was it didn't make a ton of sense to keep going with the Who Says No, at least for the time being, until we get maybe a little bit closer to the trade deadline. Like, we'll keep taking bites out of that apple when the time's right. But figured in place of that, we would do a little bit of a AL East Division preview bonus pods to get us from now to the season. And hopefully we'll have a guest or two along the way as well. But yeah, what do we want this segment to be like? We'll start with the Orioles today. We'll start with the Orioles because they're an interesting team. Probably end with the Yankees last. But I don't know. Like, how do we feel? Like, we're ripping live. Like, this segment, what do we want it to be?
I'm thinking we go team by team in the division, give our thoughts on how good that team is, how the Red Sox match up, stuff like that. Keep it pretty straightforward. I think that's the kind of preseason content people want to hear.
Yeah, we're basically, what is opening days at the 30th? Is that right? March 30th?
30th, I think, yeah.
So we're basically at the month marker until the season starts. So yeah, Orioles, would you say the Orioles are the second most, not take the Red Sox out of it? Is it the Yankees or the Orioles that are the bigger competition right now? Who are you more afraid of?
Yankees. Well, before you give your answer, what if I told you that the Miami Marlins have more recently won a playoff game than the Baltimore Orioles?
Well, the Orioles don't win playoff games.
That's the thing. So scared would mean don't want to see them in the playoffs. It's the Yankees.
Yeah,
I'm also
I guess the
more afraid of
Yankees.
the Yankees.
Yeah, just their rotation alone. The Orioles. Here's the thing, and you guys have heard me rant about the Orioles before. I think they don't get nearly enough heat. They have one of the best young groups of talent in the entire league, and they still have guys coming up. And they just do nothing to supplement it. They last year they get Corbin Burnes, and I'm thinking, they're finally starting to supplement this team. And then they stop at Corbin Burnes. Craig Kimbrell they get as a replacement closer for Bautista, but pretty much just Corbin Burnes. He pitches well for them, and then they just let him walk out the door. It's like they didn't even make a competitive offer the following season. That was your ace all year long. And in a pitching staff, this isn't a very scary pitching staff. Zach Eflin, he's solid. Grayson Rodriguez, good, but hasn't really hit his ceiling. Charlie Morton, good, but he's 41. Dean Creamer, Cade Povich, Trevor Rogers, meh. Just Albert Suarez, meh. Unless you're the Red Sox, he dominates the Red Sox for whatever reason.
They signed Sugano.
Yeah,
Tomoyuki Sagano's 35-year-old rookie out of Japan. He might be okay, but I'm not afraid of that. And Kyle Bradish had one good season in 2023, and then last year banged up, not the same guy. I'm just like, who's afraid of the Orioles right now, a playoff team wise? Who's afraid of that? I just don't think they're that good. And the reason I think they don't get enough heat is because they could easily be one of the best teams in the league with a few moves. It's like the Mariners. They're like the East Coast Mariners. They're a move or two away from being really good, and they're just like, nope, we're not going to do it. We'll get Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez. We'll make okay ads, but nothing that's going to scare anyone. And I just do not understand it.
Yeah, the way they handled the rotation this offseason, really questionable, because I'm really high on Grayson Rodriguez. I think this year he's going to cement himself as one of the premier pitchers in baseball. But even if that happens, like, that's just him stepping into the Corbin Burnes role. Like, they're still relying heavily on Bradish coming back from injury and being the guy that he was. They're relying heavily on Charlie Morton in his, age 40 season? What is he?
41.
41
41.
season.
Listen to this. The two starters they got, Sugano and Charlie Morton, are a combined 76 years old.
Right. Like, you're relying on guys like that who maybe have shown the potential in the past. And Sugano, like, yeah, I get you don't know what he's going to be. And as we've seen, like when Masa Yoshida came over here, we were tantalized by the unknown. But when you're in your mid 30s, what is he, 35, 36?
35,
yeah.
35, it's like there's a limit to what he can, what that ceiling can be. Like, people are still going to be, like, the Orioles are still going to be good because you look at the offense. You got Adley Rutschman, Ryan Mountcastle, Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westbrook, Gunnar Henderson, Tyler O'Neill, Cedric Mullins, Colton Cowser, Ryan O'Hearn, Heston Kjerstad. I didn't even talk about Kobe Mayo, who's going to come up and he debuted last year, but probably play more of a full season. Like, that's a lineup where if things go right in the rotation, and they've got Felix Bautista coming back to the bullpen. So if things go right in the rotation, like, yeah, they could be good. Yeah, they could go out tomorrow and trade for Dylan Cease. But I don't think that, barring
I don't think they
significant
will, though.
trade, I just don't like. But all we can do is evaluate what we see today. Like, we're in spring training. Like, what you see is more likely than not what you're going to get. And to me, that's just not a scary enough pitching staff.
Who pitches game one for these guys? As it stands right now, who do you think would pitch game one of a playoff series for the Orioles?
Grayson. Oh, two different names. I think Grayson's going to be a monster this year. I think he's that dude.
I do too. I just think that Eflin has even if it's not postseason experience, more experience. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, am I scared of either of those guys? No.
I mean,
I think people are going to be scared of Grayson soon. I think that's
maybe.
My
but
take.
But this is like, you don't want a rookie as your game, or not a rookie, sorry, a very young player like that who has little to no playoff experience. You don't want that. You want you want Max Fried, who the Yankees just got. That's who you want starting game one. Or a guy like, I don't know, Walker Buehler, a guy who maybe he's coming off a down year, but he's done it a million times before, and he's healthy now, and he looks like a bounce back guy. You know, not the perfect answer for that, but it's just, I don't know, Zach Eflin or Garrett Crochet. Who scares you more in game one? No brainer for me.
Yeah, definitely Crochet.
One thing really quick. Am I right that the Orioles were one of the teams that had an agreement with Jeff Hoffman that fell through because of his medicals?
Yes, and then they signed Andrew Kittredge instead.
How weird is... Oh, right, they got Kittredge. But even still, like, there's no way that money's even remotely close. How do you not reallocate that money immediately? Like, it's just, their whole pursuit of free agents and the way they operate with money is so beyond my comprehension and not in a good way. Like, they just got new ownership. And there was the story probably a month or two ago that ownership essentially gave Mike Elias the green light to spend. And he was like, no, which is insane that he's got to go. It's insane.
Yeah, that was a wild
How could that be true? How could that possibly be true? What GM would do that? That's like purposely hurting yourself. Like,
I mean,
the Orioles are so weird, man.
You kind of, I don't know. I guess you didn't really see that here. We thought we were seeing that here for a hot sec with Breslow, but then he ended up spending it.
Yeah.
Like, I do sympathize with the fact that if you and granted, we don't know how much the Orioles' new ownership is going to spend over the next 6, 7, 8 years. But if they don't intend to spend a ton, and when they do, it's going to be, okay, this is our one big splurge for the next half decade. it does put a lot of pressure on the GM to like make sure you get it right. But the truth is, there's no excuse, in my opinion, to have the young crop of talent that they have there and have your offseason be lose Corbin Burnes, lose Anthony Santander, and then your additions are Tyler O'Neill, who, like, I love Tyler O'Neill, but your best case scenario is that's a wash. And then you replace Corbin Burnes with Charlie Morton and Sugano. Like, yeah, there's really no excuse for that. And I'm surprised, Sammy, you're right. Like, and I'm the type of I've defended the Orioles because I've not hated some of their moves as much as other people. This is more so dating back to last season. But the way they've handled this offseason, like there is no defending that. None.
Another thing too that I could be wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Another loss that they have that is a legit loss because he was genuinely a good reliever last year. Did they non-tender Danny Colum?
Yeah, they did, and he signed with the Twins, and he was good.
And like you're telling me you'd rather have Andrew Kittredge than Danny? Like it,
and they paid him more.
And like even the moves that they're making, not involving money, are puzzling, which is not good. When in the last decade, the only moves you could pride yourself on were the savvy moves, the smart moves, picking Gunnar, picking Jackson,
Cano,
Cano,
yeah.
like these kind of like
value plays, like value moves.
Yes, yeah, like a needle in the haystack guys like Cano, and then on the flip side, just absolutely crushing your draft picks. They've done nothing to supplement. And it's the weirdest thing. Like they've regressed each, I guess maybe not each of the last three because they got Corbin Burnes, but like they're regressing, which is crazy when your best players are all under 27.
And their farm system continues to drop in the rankings. Like it'd been like a top 5 farm system for the last like 4+ years. And this year, I think a lot of they were outside the top 15 in some rankings, right? There were some that were like bottom 10. And I think Baseball America might have had them in the bottom 10.
Because I think they have Samuel Basallo, who is unbelievably good. Kobe Mayo. And then they also have, I don't even know if he's top 100, but Enrique Bradfield.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but that you just said the drop up right there, the drop off. Like,
yeah.
They used to have like 6-7 guys in the top 100 at a time.
I think part of the reason they've dropped, in addition to the guys graduating, big part of the reason they've dropped is Basallo might not be a catcher. Not really confirmed one way or the other, but that craters his value. I will say, not to completely crap on the Orioles, I like the lineup. And then the back end of this bullpen, even though they lost Columbi, I don't think he's that big of a piece. Listen to these names. This is pretty nasty. Felix Bautista coming back. He's the closer. He's 6'8", 285 pounds, throws 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yenier Cano, wonky delivery, really tough to hit. Sir Anthony Dominguez, Andrew Kittredge, and then you have 2 solid, not great lefties, but solid, CNL Perez and Gregory Soto. I like that bullpen. I think they're going to have a really good bullpen. That's the one thing I'll give them, along with the lineup. I mean,
but that's what makes the starting pitching so inexplicable is because the rest of the team is there.
Yeah, even if they got like Corbin Burnes, if Corbin Burnes with this Orioles would make them, oh my God, so scary. Same with Cease, but like we just talked about their farm system. I don't think they're going to make another trade for a guy in an expiring contract like Cease unless they get some sort of amazing price. And why would the Padres do that? So, yeah, I don't know. The Orioles just, if I were an Orioles fan, I would be like clapping for this podcast because I'd have these frustrations. I'd be like, why is the front office not pushing the chips in? The American League is wide open. The Yankees got worse. The Rays are weird. The Blue Jays aren't scary. The Red Sox got better, but still, it's a winnable division. I don't get it. I don't get the Orioles.
And there were options.
Yep, there were plenty of options, trades and free agents.
Yeah, and the easiest figure to point is obviously, Dylan Cease because he age-wise, if they're able to extend him, like he fits that team so well. But like even Luis Castillo, like that's a perfect fit for them. Like that's a veteran guy, 180, 200 innings, low to mid threes, controlled, like all that. You didn't hear shit about them being linked to Luis Castillo, which is crazy to me.
Yeah,
Like they're not even trying.
like even like what was stopping them from signing even like, I know he stunk there before, but like Jack Flaherty's deal. Like
Yeah.
if you get Jack Flaherty, at least you have like he was a frontline guy last year. Like they don't have that beyond Grayson. I don't know. Maybe some people think Eflin is a frontline guy. I think Eflin is a good 3 on a good team. I don't think Zach Eflin is a top 2 frontline kind of guy, but on this team he has to be. But what do you guys think of what Jackson Holliday could do this year? Because that's kind of the X factor. That right there, because like you're not gonna get much better of a season from Gunnar Henderson. Like he was that good last year. There's just not much more like of a mountain to climb with him. Adley Rutschman could have a better season, but I really do think that like if Jackson Holliday becomes a superstar and reaches that potential that so many people saw when he was the number 1 prospect in baseball, basically from the second he was drafted, like that's what could take this team, and just like it doesn't even matter who's starting games because the bullpen is good enough where all you got to do is get through 5 innings. And then if you have like a 3-headed monster, and that's not even like talking about, if Kobe Mayo is one of the better hitting prospects in baseball, like Colton Cowser was he won the Rookie of the Year. No, Luis Hill won it. He could have won. He could have won the Rookie of the Year. You've got Cedric Mullins and Ryan Mountcastle, who are both good players approaching, getting closer to free agency. Like they've got bats,
Westberg.
and if Westberg was an all-star last year, like if Jackson Holliday is a stud, and you've got that 3-headed monster in the middle of the order, it's one of those situations where like it doesn't necessarily matter who's starting the games.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, they'd have a really good offense. I think their offense is going to be scary, but no matter how you frame this Orioles team, it's still going to come down to can they win in the playoffs? And that's been the boogeyman for them for years and years and years. And it's just when you don't have that guy, that motherfucker at the top of the rotation, just doesn't bode well for October. So I don't know. To answer your question, Gordo, Jackson Holliday, he's only 21 years old. I think he's going to have a great career. Who knows if it starts in 2025, though? That's a big ask for a kid who, by the way, he was under a lot of pressure when he got called up to the majors in 2024. Arguably under even more pressure this year after he didn't play well in his cup of coffee. Everyone's going to be looking at him. If he doesn't get off to a hot start, he's going to start hearing the murmurs, which is completely unfair, but that's what's going to happen. We'll see how he deals with the pressure. He's lucky he's in Baltimore and not like Boston, New York, or Philly, because my God, he would be hearing it even louder.
Pat, when you see Jackson Holliday, the two ends of the initial struggle spectrum are Mike Trout, where he stunk out loud in his first cup of coffee and then obviously became Mike Trout. And then there's like the Jared Kelenic side of it, where for years it was like, okay, this is the year. And then the next year it's like, okay, this is the year. And then the next year, all right, this is the year. And it just, today, I mean, his career's not over. He could still break out. Like Jerkson Profar eventually broke out. But like, is Jackson Holliday going to Mike Trout on us this year? Or is that, I don't know. I think he might Mike Trout on us this year. I'm scared. He looks jacked, by the way. Look at his Instagram. He's crazy. He got big.
It's funny you say those two, because I had 2 completely different people come to mind.
Who you got?
I had a little different, but like Bobby Witt was not great his rookie year. He was fine. He was not great his rookie year. And then on the other side of the coin, Joe Adell.
Oh God, yeah.
So
I loved Joe Adell.
in the Adell to Witt barometer, I think he's gonna be fine. He's gonna pan out. He's at the absolute worst. He's an average to above average middle infielder. Like, I think that bat plays. I think his glove's fine. He'll figure it out. And like Sammy said, I don't know if it's gonna be this year. But he'll be fine. Like the thing too with Jackson especially, there was not many downsides to his game. All throughout the minors, not many things to kind of nitpick. Hence why he was in the majors at 20. Adell always had the swing and miss stuff. There was some things that went wrong with him. Kelenic was the same way. There's a reason that he was traded for a closer. There were some people who were pretty wishy-washy on him. But I think Jax will be fine. I think he'll pan out.
To tie it back to just to tie it to the Red Sox, when we talk about the big three and who should guys make the roster on opening day, like this is kind of the argument against allowing Roman Anthony onto the opening day roster, because even though like this guy is as mature as they come for a 20-year-old, and everyone has incredible things to say, and the stats in the minors have backed it up, and he just looks the part. All of those things were said about Jackson Holliday too. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the Orioles rushed Jackson Holliday, because I really don't like he was destroying AAA before he got the call. Like, people thought he should have been on the opening day roster. He didn't make it, and then he crushed AAA. Like, what were they to do? They had to.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. People were like, shame on the Orioles for this. And then it's like, oh, maybe the Major League Baseball organization knows their prospect a little better.
Yeah. So, I mean, not saying to not give these guys a shot early, but there is I don't even want to necessarily say there's risk, but it's just when you play these guys, you're not necessarily, even though they're big names, you're not necessarily going to get instant production that is better than, I don't know, like you're not going to get better than
Kobe Mayo. If you call up Kobe Mayo and trade Ryan Mountcastle for something else, there's no guarantee that Mayo's going to be as good or better than Mountcastle, kind of thing.
But like with the Sox, it's like if Anthony gets called up, who does that push to the bench? Like maybe Cedon or Abreu. And it's like, okay, I mean, it is nothing against Roman Anthony to say this, but if you put Roman Anthony in there and Cedon to the bench, your defense is going to get worse. So he's going to need to hit to make it worth it. And I think we think he will, but if he hits like Jackson Holliday did last year, then it's not worth it. So like you gotta be prepared for the outcomes that could happen, and I think you have to hopefully know that he's gonna produce at least a little bit at the plate, give you better at bats than Cedon if you're gonna call him up. Because if he doesn't, then you're just starting the clock and not really getting anything out of it in a year that we all agree is a competitive year for the Sox. Okay, quick comparison before we get out of here. Starting rotation, Sox or Orioles?
Sox.
Bullpen, Sox or Orioles?
Orioles. Pretty comfortably Orioles, sorry.
I also say Orioles. I think it's fine to say that.
I'm going Orioles, but I think it's closer. I think the Orioles have bigger arms, like scarier guys. I think the Sox are maybe a touch deeper, but yeah, I'd go Orioles.
Lineup, Sox or Orioles?
Oh, that's close. I'll go Sox. Give me Sox, dude. Duran, Devers, Bregman, Casas. Beat that.
I'm taking the Orioles. I think they have bigger monsters, slightly bigger monsters in the middle, and then they're a little bit deeper. But I think maybe by the end of the year that could change depending on what happens with the big three. But today, I'll take Baltimore. Pat?
I'm going Red Sox as of this moment. I think the second Jackson Holliday figures it out, that gets a little bit scarier. The second, Kobe Mayo gets in the mix, I think they get obviously much better. As of right now, Sox by the end of the year, I think it'll be worth reopening and discussing.
All right, and
Just
now
wait
overall,
until Christian Campbell's going to figure it out too. Roman Anthony, boy, come on. Overall, Red Sox. I think the Orioles rotation just completely kills them. It's so underwhelming. It's not bad. It's just painfully underwhelming. And if that offense doesn't click, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't win without a rotation.
No, Sammy, it's interesting because I just said I think the Orioles have a better bullpen and lineup than the Sox, and the Sox have a better rotation. But overall, I'm taking the Sox. I'm taking the Sox because I think their lineup is incrementally better. I think their bullpen is like maybe a step above incrementally better. I think the Sox rotation is leaps and bounds better. So
yeah,
that gap right there is enough to have me take Sox over Orioles for this year, which is saying a lot considering where we were a year ago. Don't let that be for nothing.
if Liam Hendricks bounces back and he's Liam Hendricks, which I understand is a big if, then that bullpen conversation is all of a sudden really close. So we'll see.
Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think bullpen and lineup are so marginally different in terms of like who I would take. The Sox rotation blows the doors off of Baltimore's. Like, it's not even remotely close. And it's not even a case like the lineup where it's like, but there's upside. It's Grayson. Grayson is the upside. And it's not even close. And that's, to me, is enough to take the Sox over the Orioles.
So 3 for 3, Sox over Orioles. I hope it's one of those things that could bite us if we're just like wrong about this Red Sox team. But I feel so good about the depth they have, and so many things can go wrong for the Sox and they could still be okay. And that goes for in every area. Whereas like the Orioles, if Grayson Rodriguez has an injury like he did last year, like they're even more screwed. They need a lot of things to go right in that rotation. Anything before we wrap this thing up? Or are you guys good to go?
Good to go.
Good first AL East division preview episode of the sequence, right? I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited to do the Yankees, and I'm dreading the Rays because that's gonna be a confusing one. But we'll have fun either way.
We'll talk about Johnny DeLuca for 25 minutes and call it a day.
Johnny DeLuca.
He was in the spring training game against the Sox. I think it was like last weekend or something. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about this motherfucker.
It's gonna happen. He's gonna do something that's gonna piss us off. We just jumped the gun by a year in 2020.
Yeah, it wasn't last year, but it'll happen.
2025. He's gonna have some walk-off home run, and we're gonna be like, Johnny DeLuca.
All right, Sammy, save it for the Rays preview, Sammy. Come on,
Johnny DeLuca.
All right, thank you for tuning in. God, for Play Tessie bonus episode, Orioles AL East preview. What we got to name this? We'll think of a name before we put this out there. We'll think of a name for this series of segments.
Probably should have done that in advance.
Yeah, probably.
All good.
We literally just like people like we literally just rip Sox. Like we just talk Sox off the
rip O's. We ripped O's today.
We ripped O's. We're always talking O's, man. The O's.
O's guys.
O's. We're big O's guys. But thanks for tuning in. Bonus pod. Remember, subscribe before you tune out. Give about your days. Subscribe to the pod wherever you get your podcast. Rate 5 stars. Leave a comment. Tell us how many wins you think the Orioles are going to have this season. You can do that on YouTube as well. Subscribe to WEEI. You can find our Play Tessie playlist there. Has all of our videos, all of our episodes in video form. So like all those videos, and then follow us on the social accounts at Play Tessie on both Twitter and Instagram. For Sammy, for Pat, for Joe producing, it's Gordo here for this AL East preview, name TBD, but you'll probably have it on the episode title. Thanks for tuning into this one. Peace.